Error. Hit it. Oh. All right. I'm watching this at the somebody the other day. Somebody the other day mentioned this Lego minifig kind of this weird conspiracy thing going on. I watch the civil rights lawyer dude here. I watch him because it's just one of my. I'm exporting a video at the moment. That's why I'm sitting here not doing anything. I don't know who Reckless Ben is. This is the first time I've really encountered him. But the civil rights lawyer, I've seen a lot of his videos because I like watching the auditors. You know, the First Amendment auditors, and other things. Just for full disclosure, I used to be in law enforcement myself. Back in the late 80s, 90s, as a U.S. Air Force security police officer. I was a K-9 handler for U.S. Air Force. I was going to keep going with law enforcement, but I ended up getting into a creative field instead. So, that being said, I'm just kind of watching this. Maybe we'll just do this. It'll be a reaction video. Yes, the music is up. Let's turn the music down.
Fake Mormon. So there's two options there. So he's either a fake Mormon just pretending, or he actually respects the Mormon community, and if they tell him to, if they show him a way to improve his life, he'll probably listen to them. So that was our thought. And then as we were driving, so American Fork is even smaller than Kaiser. It's like literally everyone knows each other in American Fork. So it's like just some small little neighborhood. So one of my fans, that house we were staying at, lives like...
The civil rights lawyer is really fun to watch. I love watching his videos. He's really good. I don't know about the Reckless Ben, but this is very interesting. I'm like halfway through this video, and it's about a $200,000 Lego Star Wars collection that a gentleman owns, but his son, I guess, was in charge of trying. I don't know if he's trying to sell it, but this bricks and minifigs, you can sell your Lego, I guess, through them, and buy Lego, right? So they're a consignment shop. So this $200,000 Lego Star Wars collection taken to this place, and now they're kind of holding on to it. They won't give it back. The store, I guess, was going to close and not give back. It's a consignment shop, right? So it's like they can sell it and they'll get to keep a piece of the sales, but the owner retains the ownership of it, right? And gets the bulk of the proceeds. Somehow the corporate folks found out how much of that was worth, and I guess they're kind of hanging on to it. So the son of the owner of it can't seem to get anyone to help him with this, and it's a corporation, and the corporation says, well, you know, you could try to sue us, but you know, we're gonna, you know, they're a big corporation, so they're gonna, you know, basically have enough money to, you know, cover the cost of it, and the little guy won't, and you know, they'll keep it tied up in litigation that it'll cost them way more than what the, you know, what the collection is worth. To me, that I don't. I feel like you could take that into a judge, and a judge could do a summary judgment by reading the contract, because they say that guy has the contract, you know, and the judge would then make the company pay the court costs. So then the guy wouldn't be out of money. I don't know. I'd start paying them damages, right? You know, I don't know why they couldn't collect damage. I don't know. I mean, if you're a lawyer and you understand it, but anyway, let's continue. I'm going to continue watching this while I'm waiting for stuff to render.
Like right next to Josh. And so we were just driving back to my friend's house, who just happens to live next to Josh, and the police come and pull us over. And yeah, it was bad. Basically, they're like, we know that there's heroin in your car, and we're like, what the heck?
He's going to conduct the search of your person because there are illegal substances in the vehicle. Really? So he's going to do that. I'm going to put this way, and then we'll be right. Don't reach in your pockets for me, okay?
I explained to the police that we didn't have drugs, and the reality of the situation is that Bricks and Minifigs is so desperate at this point that they're willing to do anything to get us arrested so they don't have to pay for the property they stole. And the police was arguing back with just some of the worst comebacks I've ever heard, which is why I think the police actually redacted this audio in this clip, because if they kept the audio in, then the world would get to see how stupid the American Fork Police Department is. But anyways, even though we were passing every single drug...
Okay, I think you can still hear me. My capture PC just rebooted. My capture PC just rebooted that has sorry. All right. Oops. Beep, deep, deep, beep, boop, beep, deep. Let's get this camera back working. Pride. My back glass is going to be repaired tomorrow. Why is my camera? Okay, my camera's. Oh, all right. I'm gonna reboot. See what happens. See what happens. Now available. My face is gone. The thrill is gone. Okay. Every time I reboot it, it wants me to update the Steam Deck. I don't understand why. There we go. All right, back in business. Back in black. I hit this. Okay, we're exporting this. Let's go back and continue.
Drug tests they gave us. They were still not going to let us go until we told them where the drugs were.
Your eyes, for example, right? Right. There's a constriction, which is dilated, and then
Do you notice it?
So I haven't been looking.
It's funny because Tyler's like, he's not Mormon, but he's super straight edge. Like, he always follows the law. He's never had a drop of alcohol in his life, never smoked any, like, done any type of drug ever. And him getting accused of heroin is just like the most ironic thing.
No idea, because I've never done any drugs in my life. I don't do drugs. I don't do alcohol. I've never done any of that in my life. I'm willing to do any drug tests.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very cooperative. I don't understand, what you're seeing in my eyes.
I'm gonna have a discussion with this officer.
And then the police department illegally redacted this conversation too. My guess is that they acknowledge that it's very obvious we don't have drugs on us, but they were going to try and pressure us into giving some type of false confession anyways.
Normally, if a cop's like, hey, can I search your car? I have the right to say no. They were not giving us that right. They said, you do not have a say in this. We are searching your car because we know there's heroin in it, is what they said. They said, we have reasonable suspicion to believe that there's heroin in your car, and now you cannot decline a search. Like, we have to search your car.
Not sure if you're lying to me or not. To be honest,
I'm willing to take any drug test you want.
Walking a very dangerous line, which can get you into a lot of time.
Yeah.
You could end up in jail in Utah when you're from Cali.
Okay.
Not worth it, right?
Yeah.
We play differently here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. They said they had the probable cause, and when I ask for the probable cause, they don't give it to me. And they say Joshua Johnson is a protected person in this case. So if we tell you what he said about you guys are going to use it for your YouTube clicks and likes, is what they say. So we can't tell you how we know this stuff, is what they're saying. But they ended up doing a canine search of the car, and apparently they said the canine gave the signal. I don't know what the signal is. They got some type of reason to believe that we had drugs on us. And when I ask, what is that reason? They say, well, Josh and Brandon are protected people in this case, and if we let you know what they said about you, you're going to use it for your YouTube clicks and likes and subscribers. You're going to make money off that, and that's bad. So we can't let them know anything. I actually went to court a couple of days ago, and I was like, I don't even know why I'm here in court. Like, they won't tell me why I'm here. And then the prosecutor, Russell Farr, he's like, well, if we told him, he's just going to use it for his clicks and likes, and he's going to make money off the victim. Isn't that a bad? We don't want that, judge. He's going to make money off a victim in this case, so we can't tell him. I'm like, well, if I don't know why I'm here, like, what am I doing here, you know? And it's so ridiculous.
What happened with the search?
Oh, they found nothing. Oh, wait, I'm on 1% on my computer. Let me plug it in really quick.
When you shop at Ashley, your furniture evolves.
Plug
with
in your
home
damn
over
computer,
time. With a
man.
wide selection of modular sectionals you can rearrange as your family grows. Plus, Ashley's stain-resistant fabric options will keep it looking brand new. Shop modular sectionals at Ashley, in-store or online today.
Goldstein Buckley, personal injury attorneys.
If you're looking for an attorney you can trust, call us today for a free attorney consultation. From the moment you call us, our team gets to work fighting for you.
And as the oldest personal injury...
I'm so sorry. It wasn't like 50%. I guess it dies fast on Zoom. Okay, I'm plugged in. So with the search, they searched our car. I don't know how long they searched our car for, but the entire interaction lasted for about 3 hours. And which sucks because when I requested the body cam footage, like probably 60% of it is just all redacted audio. And they claim it's to protect the victims of the case. They're like, oh, well, the victims, Joshua Johnson, who's a victim in this case, that's who we're protecting by redacting this audio. But the audio they redacted, like, I remember the conversations. It's me being like, there's nothing in our car, and then being like, 100% there's stuff in your car. Like, we know there's stuff in your car. And so I think they might have redacted that footage, not to protect the victims, but to make the police officers not look stupid, because if this footage gets out, then the police officers' jobs are now in danger. So the only way to save their jobs, I think, was to redact this footage.
You said it took like 3 hours for them to search your car.
Yeah, and we're just standing talking, like, just the police are just arguing with us the entire time. Like, dude, we know you guys are on drugs. Just admit it now. You know, like, you guys are going to jail for a long time.
Eventually, do they let you go?
Yeah, they let us go because they couldn't find anything, so they just let us go, yeah.
But not for long, I take it.
So that was the night that we did the, I think that was after we did the, what's it called? The good faith conversation, I think. So that was the day before I got arrested. Then the next day I get arrested, yeah. So the next day we're like, okay, let's go serve them papers. And we'll do exactly what the police told us. We'll stay on the street. I have a process server who's going to serve the papers, and I'm just going to be there, like, because she was like kind of scared. The server was kind of scared to go to his house alone because she's like, this guy's crazy. Like, I don't know what he's going to do. So it made her feel more comfortable if I was in the car with her, you know. We just go, and this is when probably, I don't know how many times we had the cops call us. We were there for 3.5 hours, though, of constant talking to the cops.
What are you guys doing here?
So we are in a court case with them, and we have to serve them legal papers.
So I explained to the cops the entire situation.
I'm not going on his property. Right, no, that's fine. Yeah. That's fine.
The police realized that we're not breaking any laws, and they've been called here for a false reason, so they decided to leave.
Awesome, thank you.
Then we got the police calling us again.
Hello. This man stole basically his family's life savings.
But we got the police called on us again.
Hello.
Yep, can I see those papers?
Yeah.
So this is what you're trying to serve him with?
Yes.
At first, the cops are cool. You know, they come up to us and they're like, hey, we see that you're doing nothing illegal. You're staying on the streets, the sidewalks. You're not going on his property. As long as you keep this up, you're good. The Oregon cops were like trying to get us in trouble for things we didn't do. But these cops acknowledged that what we're doing is legal, and they gave us the thumbs up, you know? So we're like, okay, sweet. 10 minutes later, we get the cops calling us again. And I think same thing. They're like, those cops are cool. We told them the whole story. They're like, yep. They're like, this guy is really mad is what they kept telling us. Like, this guy is super
This is crazy. This is really crazy.
super mad. So like, I guess that's why we're here again, you know? And so we're like, well, of course he's mad. Like, he's about to get in trouble for stealing an old man's life savings. Of course he's going to be, that's expected for him to be mad, you know? And then after that, then I think the cops the next time, what they say is they're like, okay, this guy is super mad. Like, this is starting to cause problems for us now because of how mad he's getting. Can we just serve the papers for you? And I'm like, that would be awesome. That would literally fulfill our goal if you served the papers for us. So they are gone for like 20 minutes and he comes back and I'm like, yep, okay, we served the papers. Now we can leave. This is sick. But instead, what he does, he gives us the papers. Like, he does not want your papers. I'm like, but did you talk to him? He's like, yeah, he says he doesn't want them. I'm like, of course he's not going to want them. No one wants court papers. Like, just all you have to do is you say, you've been served, and you can literally drop them. You don't have to give them to him. Just, you've been served, drop them. And he's like, yeah, but he doesn't want them. I'm like, do you not know how serving someone works? Like, no one is going to, that's why you have to serve, like, no one wants to be served court papers. He's like, yeah, well.
He's not wanting the paper. So
He's not want the papers?
here's that back for you.
Okay. This is where he goes, actually, these are fake court papers. He's like, you're lying to me right now. He's like, it doesn't have a judge's name on it, which I think every state does it differently. But in Marion County, in some states, I think in Utah, probably what he's used to is there will be a judge's name on it before you serve, which is probably what that police officer's used to. But this is a Marion County court case in Oregon. And in Marion County, you get the judge's signature after you serve the court papers. So you go to mediation first, and then you go to court. That's just their process. I didn't make the law. I'm just following what the law is. And
I've never seen something like that. To be honest with you.
These are court papers.
Okay. It doesn't have a judge's name or anything like that on it?
Because it hasn't gotten to the judge yet. So this is serving him, and then we'll go to the court, and then the judge will be there. So the judge doesn't get involved until we're in court.
Why is he saying that you guys went on the property?
Because he wants us arrested, so he doesn't have to go to court.
It doesn't look good when you've been trespassed.
Yeah.
Trying to serve papers.
Well, I think it looks exactly how we're supposed to do it legally. This is the legal way to do it.
Well, we have 2 or 3 incidents.
Yeah, well, first, so they're incidents because he's lying to you guys. He's making them incidents. We came to do a good faith conversation, which is required by the courts before you can get a court case approved. So we did that. He called the cops on us. He lied to you guys saying that we had heroin on us. And we did a 3-hour search of the car yesterday. We found no heroin in the car. He's going to make up any lie he can to get us arrested. We are doing things the legal way, the correct way. The reason he's hiding in his house is because he's the criminal. If something doesn't look good, it doesn't look good for him, not for us.
Go the legal process,
Which is
find
what
an
we're
actual
doing, yeah.
process server.
She is an actual process server.
And what is your guys' relationship?
I just met her today.
Well, maybe just have someone not affiliated with you.
That's her. Yeah, we have no relationship. That's why she's here. Yeah, that's why she's here. We have no relationship, and that is who she is. The exact person that you were describing.
they keep calling the police on us and all this stuff. And finally, I got the body cam footage where he calls them, and he's pissed off. He's like, he calls the court, and they're like, yeah, this is a real court case. And he's just like, this is where the cops just get like upset. They're like rubbing their chins. They're like, what do we do? You know, they're like, what? And they're just really pissed off that this actually is a real court case. And that's when they arrest me. And I'm like, what the heck? Like,
so this right here is my new Ridge wallet from their 90s capsule. The wallet itself stays slim, secure, and comfortable in your pocket while it's still holding all of your
I want a Ridge
cards and
wallet.
cash. Now, it
I do.
obviously might look loud, but...
Okay.
Okay. We have to try and find you back.
Am I being arrested?
We're under arrest right now.
Really?
I think the official charge they got me with is stalking. It's kind of complicated. There's a lot of things that have to be like check marks that have to be checked off for stalking. And I guess technically I did every check mark, which is why they got me for that. One of them is like I crossed state lines. So I went from California to Utah. So I traveled to go to him, you know, so that's in stalking. But the difference though is I was going there for a business reason, not to harass him. You know, I was there for a legitimate business reason, not for harassment.
Following, monitoring, observing, photographing, surveilling, or communicating to or about an individual.
Another check mark I completed was that my actions caused him fear. So that's another check mark when it comes to stalking. However, if you read deeper into the stalking code, it says that it only counts as stalking if a reasonable person would be scared, and a reasonable person would not be scared if I come to serve him papers, you know, like that's his fault that he's scared. He's only scared because he stole the money. So it's his fault that he's scared, not my fault. Like my actions, just sitting outside a person's house waiting to serve them would not
It's got almost 2 million views.
Fear, I would assume. And so, but that's another check. And then the other check was multiple incidents, I guess. So we had
June 2nd.
The day before the cops came and they trespassed me. And then now I go back. And so because there's multiple instances of harassment, now it's stalking. So if I just harass someone once, that's not stalking. But because I harassed them twice, now it is stalking. Even though I would argue it's not harassment, I'm there for a legitimate business reason. And if you're going somewhere for a business reason, that's not legally harassment, I would argue at least.
The night before you got arrested, that is when they searched your car. They detained you like for 3 hours, didn't find anything, had to let you go.
Yeah.
The next day is when you're trying to serve the court papers, and they come interact with you and eventually arrest you.
Yes.
Are those charges still pending?
Yes, I've been to court a couple of times for them. It looks like it might take about 1 to 2 years. I've already been to court like 3 or 4 times just because of this. So
what are the charges against you? Like, what are they called? How many counts?
It's stalking. I think it's a class A misdemeanor stalking. It's like the highest misdemeanor right before felony. It's like the worst misdemeanor I can have. And so that's stalking. And then residential picketing. So our way to get the Josh out of the house so we could serve him was I put a sign across the street that said like, I stole a family's life savings or something, you know? And it was just a small little sign. And it was actually, we looked it up. This patch of land, it's a small patch of land that it's like super kind of a gross patch of land because it's the HOA does not own it. It's just public for anyone to use. And so I'm allowed to put a sign there, you know, because it's freedom of speech. I'm using the public land. If the police officers told me to take it down, obviously I would take it down. But it's funny because the police officers never mention the sign. Like out of all the times the police officers come, I'm always like, okay, this time they're gonna mention the sign, and they just like, this is fake court papers. I'm like, what? Like, so they always caught me off guard on that. But
crazy.
Technically in Utah, targeted picketing, residential picketing is illegal, I guess, even though it was a public area. So I don't really know much about that, but that's the other thing they're getting me on is residential picketing.
They had to dig deep for that one.
Yeah.
It sounds like First Amendment retaliation to me.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But that was the first time I got arrested. I got arrested again. So basically we realized if we sue them, it's like the police are making it impossible for us to sue them. Like if I try and do what the court tells me to do, I will get arrested. So we were brainstorming other ways to get his money back, and we're like, well, if we can't take Bricks and Minifigs down, maybe the video will be enough to take them down, and we can still reimburse them through a GoFundMe. So I made a GoFundMe, and I used the same picture as that sign as our GoFundMe picture, because I was like, if they got really upset at that sign, it'd be kind of funny to put as that picture. And also, I just thought it was a funny picture. I'm like, if this is the picture of our GoFundMe, the GoFundMe will go more viral, and the more viral it goes, the more money we make. So it was a strategic business move to make that picture our GoFundMe.
All right. I'll be right back. Be right back.
Let's play the game.
Okay.
GoFundMe picture, because that picture is going to cause more people to donate, you know? And I think I said in the GoFundMe, like,
all right, so I don't know anybody who's lurking. If you're lurking, there's this viral story about a bricks and minifigs business where a gentleman sent his $200,000 Lego collection, or the son of the owner, to send it to be consigned and sold through them. Somehow there's a legal dispute going on now. A YouTuber involved, Reckless Ben, is now involved. And I mean, the legal system is just, it's tied in knots over this. I mean, it's the police's actions in this are just atrocious.
Josh stole the Legos, and now Brian is trying to get his money back for what Josh stole or something, you know? We're like, okay, let's go hang this GoFundMe picture up, you know? And so we print out the sign double in size this time, and we got permission from the person's house to put it up. And so it's not like we're on like a public property. This is private property that we are allowed to post the sign on. And the police come literally within like 30 seconds this time. The police come, because the police are always driving through the neighborhood and stuff. There was one time they even just like show up to our house for whatever reason. The police are always in the neighborhoods, I guess. So within like 30 seconds, like the sign's not even, like it only takes like less than a minute to hang up a sign. You know, it doesn't take a long time to hang up a sign. They couldn't even hang up the sign yet. So it's literally within like 30 seconds to, like, the police must have been following us, or they must have already been in the area. It was just a coincidence. They were already there. But within 30 seconds, the police show up.
What you guys up to?
We're starting to GoFundMe.
Yeah.
What we're doing is we're going to get a bunch of publicity to get basically all this money back for this family.
And just like goes and cuts it down. And then pretty much all of it's redacted. And so I can only assume what the police officers are saying now, because they're not letting me see. And some of it I was able to like splice the clips together and see bits and pieces that they didn't want me to see, where they're arguing like
I'm trying to pay off your loan.
Stop calling me. You sound like a psycho. I swear.
I hate ads.
What is, like, why did you take it down? Like, we can't just take this.
Your stalking code. See if it's that. If it's not, we're going to look at disorderly. If it's not disorderly, then we're going to look at the city ordinance. Is it disorderly conduct? Why? Is he upset about it?
I mean, I guess, but that's not.
Yeah, this police officer is right. Just because this might make Josh upset does not make this poster illegal. So I decided to let the police department know that some of the redactions they made aren't exactly what they're claiming they are. I think you guys might have accidentally forgot to redact another clip that was at the same time. And when I synced the two clips together, I was able to see what they were saying, like what the redaction was. And he was talking about how what we're doing actually isn't illegal and how the police officer might be wrong. And so it wasn't about protecting a victim. It wasn't any personal information. And so I was wondering, it seems like there might be a lot of stuff like that got redacted, maybe to protect the police officers, not to protect the victims, if that makes sense. And so
yeah, we don't do that. So like I said, anything that's redacted is pursuant to Utah State Code.
I can tell because when I sync the two clips together, I'm actually able to see that that's what the redaction was.
Okay, well, that didn't happen.
That definitely didn't happen.
No, I don't do that, Ben. I follow the Utah State Code, like I just said.
Okay. I don't know. It seems like the police department redacted this entire conversation because right here the police are actually admitting to themselves that none of this is illegal, but they're still going to try to arrest us anyways. It seems like the only reason they're getting rid of this audio is to protect the police officers from getting fired.
The way you know we have First Amendment freedom of speech is I can say something you don't like, and I'm allowed to do that. So the police officer is arguing exactly against that statement. He's like, if this makes him mad, this is illegal, which goes completely against the First Amendment. And so he's like, because it makes him mad, we're going to steal their property. They're kind of brainstorming schemes, way to get us arrested. He's like, let's get him on disorderly. If it's not disorderly, we'll get him on a public nuisance. If it's not that, we'll get him on. And they're just listing off all these things. But at the end of the day, they can't find anything we're doing illegal. So finally, they're like, Sheldon, let's confiscate your phone. And then Sheldon pulls out his phone, and I guess he like double tapped it, and he sees his wallets up on it. And he just like locks his phone before giving it to them. And then they arrest him for destroying evidence, which they call obstruction. I cut in the video to Sheldon in the interrogation room. He's like, I'm assuming you have a phone. He's like, if you lock your screen, can you destroy evidence that way? He's like, actually, you can't because the phone's locked. What I was doing is I was preserving the evidence, actually.
My wallet popped up, so I said, hold up, let me hit my power button. And, I had it recorded as well. That's all I went and did. That's not obstruction of evidence. And then I let him have the phone. I wasn't trying to delete anything. In fact, it is actually impossible to delete something from an iPhone from a locked screen by hitting the power button. So in no context could I have been trying to erase something by hitting one button on my phone. Now, I'm sure you have a phone as well. When you hit the power button, that doesn't delete anything, does it?
I imagine it wouldn't, yeah.
Yeah, so that's all I did. So I don't know how that's obstruction of evidence, but that is what it is.
So he gets arrested for obstruction just because they're fishing for anything at this point to get this GoFundMe down. After that, I'm calling the police. I'm calling the police station. So Sheldon's not even in jail yet, and I'm calling the jail, and they're like, Sheldon's not here yet. And then all of a sudden, the police just raid our house. They're like, what the heck is happening now? And one of my friends is like, what happened? And I've heard of YouTubers getting swatted before, where someone will call the cops and be like, hey, I'm a dangerous terrorist. You're going to explode everything. Come get me, and then the police will show up. And it's actually really dangerous. So I'm like, I think we got swatted for the first time. But we're all confused. They're not telling us anything. We're like, are we getting arrested? And they're like, we can't answer any of your questions. But they end up taking everyone to jail, except for me. They took me to a detective room. And later I got the warrant. And on the warrant, it says that they had a search warrant to search our house for missing Legos, missing or any stolen Legos. And so I'm requesting all this footage, hey, can I get the claims? Can I get the 911 calls of why they had to search our house? And they're like, we can't give that to you. You're just gonna use that for clicks and likes in your YouTube video, so we can't give you any of this. Even though they legally have to give it to me, they're not, because they don't want me to make it viral, I guess. Why else would they be searching our house for stolen Legos if they didn't get a call? I don't know, it just makes no sense.
I've been swatted twice, and what they actually did was share absolutely everything with me. This is the call that we got. This is where it came from. This was the number. This was the IP address that was used, and then help me try to track the people down. Here, it sounds like it was sort of a mutual effort.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to know why they swatted my house. All I have is it says, we are looking for stolen or missing Legos. Inside my house.
All right. I hate to do this. I hate to do this again. I'm going to go get some more coffee real quick. That's what I'm going to do. Get some more coffee. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. All right, this is really, really interesting. Really, really interesting.
Any missing Legos in your house?
No, we had no Legos in our house. I didn't steal the Legos. I'm investigating the thief who stole the Legos. So I kind of connected the dots, and then in the previous video, Josh said, if I actually attempt to go out and sue him, he's gonna come out and say I stole the Legos. I don't know. I'm just connecting the puzzle pieces in the way I think is the best way to connect them, I guess.
After the swatting, did they arrest you?
Yes. They searched our entire house. They didn't find any Legos, of course, but they arrested me. They detained me in the interrogation room. So I wasn't arrested yet. I was just being detained in an interrogation room.
Well, that was against your will, though, right?
Yes.
So you were arrested.
I guess so, yeah.
They can call it detained, but unless you're free to leave, Like you were under arrest at that point.
When he read me my Miranda rights, he says, "This doesn't mean you're being under arrest. You're just being detained, but I have to read you these Miranda rights," is what he said. So the police officers claim I was only detained at that point, and then I was officially under arrest once they found out I made the GoFundMe, is what the police are claiming.
Don't move like that. You understand me? Don't move like that. Okay?
Yeah, this cop pulled my arm so far back it dislocated my shoulder. He claims it's because I was attempting to make an escape or something.
Don't move like that. You understand me? Don't move like that. Don't move quick. Everybody just chill.
But if we go back a little bit, you can see I was being completely still when he grabbed me, and I actually made 0 quick movements. So this police officer is just straight up lying so he can give me a serious injury.
Did the cops dislocate your shoulder at some point?
Yeah, so I was skiing literally 2 days before going to Utah, and I had a really bad skiing accident where I dislocated my shoulder, and it still kind of hurts. I probably need like surgery on it or something. So the entire time, like I'm driving, like I don't know if you can see in the videos, like when I'm driving, like I'm just driving with one arm, because like if I like lift my arm up like this, like it would just dislocate. So like it was just any like rough movement on my arm would have dislocated. You know, I don't think he was being like overly like.
It's wild to see people chase their passions in a way that's so inspiring.
Aggressive, but
he was being aggressive.
Did dislocate it for no reason, because he was like, he's like, no quick movements. Like, you made a quick move. He's like, you have to just chill. But I was just walking out just like everyone else, I think I have a confused look on my face. I'm like, why are all these police officers here with guns? I'm like, okay, I'll comply, you know, because this is my first time ever having like a machine gun pointed at my face. So I'm like, like, all it takes is like one mess up of a movement for the cop to shoot me. So I'm like, I'm going to comply as much as possible. So I was making sure to make no quick movements. And you can see in the footage, no quick movements. And the cop like takes my bad shoulder and just moves it up super hard. So I still think there was no reason for him to do that.
How long were you in custody?
The police originally requested for me to have no bail. So I was like scared. I'm like, dude, I'm going to be in here for like a month, dude. Because my court case was about a month later. So that's what the police wanted. But the judge said that I think I got out maybe like 13 hours later or something like that. Like it wasn't too long.
All of these charges are still pending?
Yes. I've got none of them taken down. Every single thing I've been charged for is going to court. I tried to call the prosecutor and make a deal, and they're not willing to play ball.
You have a trial date set?
I have a lot of trial dates set. Yeah, the next one is July 1st. Yeah. And that is for discovery for this case. I said, hey, I don't know why I'm here. I won't know why I'm here unless you tell me why I'm here. So that's what we were deciding on July 1st, whether I'm allowed to know why I'm here.
And these are all misdemeanors?
Yes, but of the highest class. And I have new charges. So after my first call with Eamon, where I'm like, hey, can you please just give us the Legos back? After my first interaction with Eamon calls the police. He's like, Ben just came in here saying he's going to burn down the building if I don't give the Legos back. He's going to shoot every single person inside. So those ones I'm actually dealing with a Class B felony for those charges. So now I'm dealing with felonies, but we're still just in pre-trial right now, so.
And meanwhile, has this family gotten any of their money back or their Legos back?
Now that big streamers are talking about it, I think if we can get big streamers to like shout out the GoFundMe, I think the internet will do its thing and we'll reimburse them. But that doesn't solve the problem of, oh, now the business just gets away with this. Because the thing I don't want is for the business to be like, oh, Brian's been refunded by the internet. Now we don't have to pay him anymore. You know, like the problem solved. Stop harassing us now. You know, like that's what I don't want. So I was thinking maybe the GoFundMe's for me. And then what happens is I take the money from the GoFundMe, give it all to Brian in return for the rest of the Legos we didn't buy from him. And now it truly is like me versus corporate. Brian gets refunded, but now I'm in debt to Bricks and Minifigs. And then now Bricks and Minifigs has to pay me back is kind of what. And that way Brian gets completely, because he just wants out of this thing. He just wants to get paid and leave. So I was thinking that might be the best way to deal with it. So I use the GoFundMe money, buy the rest of the Legos from Brian. He gets paid out. And then now I just continue to fight for the money Bricks and Minifigs owes me now.
Sounds like a plan.
That's crazy.
More than just interview Ben about what happened, I also needed to review the court documents for myself. So Ben gave me the access and I started to go through them. As I'm doing this, the situation, as you know, starts absolutely blowing up everywhere on the internet. And I start to just continuously get more and more emails and messages about this situation. I've watched his GoFundMe go from just a few thousand to over 200 grand in just a matter of days. And that's probably a good thing because Ben will need basically an army of lawyers to get through this thing. Despite having the apparent support of the entire internet, he's currently facing serious criminal charges in the local courts there in Utah County, Utah. He's currently facing 1 count of stalking, a Class A misdemeanor under Utah law, and 1 count of targeted residential picketing, a Class B misdemeanor under Utah law. Those are both still in the very early stages, and he's currently out on about a $2,000 bond. But that's not all. He's also facing a 333-page civil lawsuit filed by BAM Franchising and other plaintiffs, and it's quite detailed. It's full of allegations. What they are claiming is their side of the story, replete with numerous screenshots from the Reckless Ben videos, as well as numerous civil causes of action, including a Utah RICO claim, defamation, injurious falsehood, whatever that is, civil conspiracy, tortious interference, civil stalking, nuisance, trespass, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and unjust enrichment. Meanwhile, as you know from Ben's videos, the American Fork Police Department has been busy redacting the audio from most of the body cam videos that they have released. So there is a lot going on here, and as always, the most important thing is the criminal case. Unlike a civil case, Ben's literal freedom is on the line. Additionally, if they are able to secure any criminal convictions against him, that could negatively impact or even foreclose Ben's ability to win a subsequent civil lawsuit against the officers and agencies involved here and everything that had happened. At this point, the criminal case is far from being resolved. Then there's the civil case. As was alleged to have been threatened numerous times throughout these incidents, it can take a long time and a huge amount of money to defend against these sort of civil lawsuits. I mean, just look at the 333-page complaint and attachments that these plaintiffs paid attorneys to draft, file, and serve on Ben. He's going to need his own army of attorneys just to defend against it, and it could take a long time. But hopefully he will have even better lawyers, and hopefully they can get it out of that local courthouse where it is now and get it removed to federal court. I've already been talking with one particular lawyer that I have in mind to represent Ben, who would be perfect for the job. Hopefully that can be made to work. But for now, it's important for Ben to keep building his war chest and collecting evidence.
It's crazy.
I've also been going through the body cam footage and audio that we do have from the interactions with the American Fork Police Department, and I'm going to address those in a part 2 video because there is just so much there that happened. I'll also address the specifics from the civil lawsuit that was filed against Ben that contains the other side's allegations. So you can follow along by subscribing both here and at the blog at thecivilrightslawyer.com.
So is there
you can
is
follow
there
me
a
on
part
X and
two?
the other socials at
Is there
John Bryan
a part
ESQ.
two?
Remember, our
I don't know if there's a part 2 up already. I gotta find that. Let's see. Video latest. Okay, there's just a part 1. Ugh. Anyway, the civil rights lawyer right here. Here's the link to his channel. The video. Well, let's go straight to the. There we go. Main channel there. That's a crazy case. That is a crazy case. Crazy. Oh, goddamn. All right.
Just a desperate attempt from a PR firm to try and save face for their client here, Bricks and Minifigs. And there is just the standard jargon here.
Much of the online narrative centers around a private consignment arrangement allegedly made by a former Salem store. It is vital to understand that Bricks and Minifigs Corporate was not a party to this alleged agreement, nor were subsequent franchises who took the ownership of the Salem location after the former owners were removed. So Bricks and Minifigs does have a point here. The previous owner, according to Bricks and Minifigs franchise agreement, they're not supposed to do consignments. They're supposed to buy the Legos and then sell them. So I think the old owner broke the rules.
And that's a very fair point. So a big portion of this revolves around that consignment. So the old owner maybe went against protocol here when she took on board the Lego inventory. If they don't do consignment, then how do they possibly have the authority to say no to giving him his Legos back? Legos that they shouldn't even have in the first place then. That sounds a lot like stealing to me.
We have repeatedly asked for the original documents and undoctored recordings that support these accusations. So yeah, isn't that funny? Didn't we try to get the evidence over to you guys?
They did take it to them. They did nothing with it. Instead, at every opportunity, they tried to have them arrested, trespassing them, claiming harassment, and they did actively work to try and get the law enforcement to throw them in the handcuffs and take them to the slammer.
If a legitimate claim exists, there are established legal and dispute resolution processes to handle it fairly. Attempting to force a business outcome through public pressure, especially on unrelated stores and employees, is not a productive or fair path forward.
Basically what they're saying is, let's figure this out the legal way. Well, we did what he said, actually. We did sue him, and we won. And then they didn't like the legal way. Bricks and Minifigs was the one who didn't want to do it the legal way. Do you know why?
Because when they won, and they did win, in small claims court, they did win. And how did Bricks and Minifigs respond? They shut down that location. So they didn't even pay him what they owed from the small claims court. They instead just shut down operations on that location, thus leaving him high and dry, as well as Brian and the Legos.
Moving forward together, our position remains simple. Bricks and Minifigs Corporate was not a party to the unauthorized Salem consignment agreement.
Wait. But they were a party in the theft of the Legos.
We ask our fans and creators to consider the human impact of the content they share. Fairness is a two-way street. It requires looking at the full picture and respecting the rights of unrelated small business owners and their staff. I mean, shouldn't they care about people below them?
This doesn't say how they're moving forward. Moving forward should be, let's give Brian his Legos back, right?
That should have been the first sentence. That's absolutely right. Just a desperate attempt from a PR firm to try and save face for their client here.
Crazy. Unexpected all right. No, I'm fully
open and it's outstanding.
I'm fully invested in this now.
Just off I-75.
Fully invested in this. Did I? Yeah, okay. Hey.
If you thought the Lego scandal was done surprising you with twists and turns, you're off your gourd, Buster. You're straight gourdless in these streets. Bricks and Minifigs is a name that sends shivers down the spine of even the devil. There is no diabolical tactic too dubious, too unethical, too filthy for them to employ. They love to.
All right, hold on a second. I'll get to check something real quick. See where we're at. All right, we're still going. Still going there. All right. Still going. Still going. All right.
Play around in the pig pen, and they are some fucking dirty hogs. There is no low they won't sink to. They go lower than this note. I have just learned, well, it has just been made public, I suppose is more accurate to say, that Bricks and Minifigs has attempted to have Reckless Ben's Patreon taken down, banishing it to the Shadow Realm in an attempt to take away his main source of income. I imagine the idea is, if Ben starts running out of money, he won't be able to keep putting up a fight. That seems to be the playbook that Bricks and Minifigs likes to pull from.
Dear creator community, my name is Jack Conti, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Patreon. On May 29th, Patreon received an official takedown request filed by Bricks and Minifigs for media and accounts related to Reckless Ben and an ongoing dispute regarding a local Lego consignment issue. This is the verified complaint with exhibits. This is the request for immediate content removal pursuant to temporary restraining order. And this is the motion for the temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction.
What a disgusting, slimy, underhanded maneuver here. This is some shit that not even Umbrella Corporation was doing. They are that evil. So they have put in all of the official paperwork here to force Patreon to take down Reckless Ben's Patreon account. And this is the CEO coming forward to let the community know that this has been submitted. This is real. This isn't someone impersonating Bricks and Minifigs. This is all the vile, despicable, unholy work of an evil organization led by someone who legitimately has a twirled mustache, the most comic book character villain looking motherfucker imaginable. Ammon, I'm talking about that goober. This is them now trying to starve out Ben. They tried numerous times to have him thrown in jail over some barnacles and horseradish. That didn't work. So now they've come from the top turnbuckle here to try and instead just take away his income. I cannot fathom a world where Brick...
Crazy. Crazy. All right. What else? What else? Made everything worse? The legal mindset. Do we... I don't know what the legal mindset is.
Shop Ashley and meet your new favorite seat, the Omaha Sectional. Relax stress-free with stain-resistant performance fabric.
Yeah, yes!
Built-in USB
God!
port. And declutter your...
I was not even gonna like mess with this. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing. The only reason I really got into it was because of the civil rights lawyer guy. You mentioned it. Not that it wouldn't be an interesting story, but the civil rights lawyer, I watch him all the time. Because I'm obsessed with First Amendment auditors now, as well as drunk people, being arrested. And as I was scrolling through my Facebook reels, or either Facebook or YouTube, I came across the civil rights lawyer, and he was talking with Reckless Ben, and so I was like, let's see what this story is about, and yeah, that is some crazy stuff. It is some crazy stuff. I'm gonna watch this vid real quick about the legal mindset.
Today we're going brick by brick as we analyze the Bricks and Minifigs case and all of the law and crimes involved in this. Of course, this is the legal mindset where we teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney. Now, this is something that is
and that's the thing, right? I mean, the case itself is not a First Amendment audit, situation. It's but it is certainly, after watching how the police have conducted themselves, and again, full disclosure, I was in law enforcement for at least 4 years. I had planned on being in law enforcement as a career. I was in the Air Force as a security police canine handler, working on the law enforcement side. Yes. The law enforcement officers have definitely made it a civil rights case. I mean, there's a lot of civil rights violations in there. But I mean, it when you think of First Amendment order, you think of somebody just standing there on public property recording, or going into public places that are, open to the public and recording. This one is more of it really, lawfare. Lawfare is what it kind of feels like. I'm trying to remember what that movie was with Matt Damon, where he was the, a small attorney. I don't think it was. It was some sort of, where somebody got sick, and you had a big corporation. Can't remember the name of it, but anyway, it's one of those cases. You got this. I don't know how big Bricks and Minifigs is. I've seen it. I've been into. I don't even know if I've ever been in one. Now I won't ever go on one. I won't ever go on one now. And just from the little I've kind of gathered from it, I'm like, I hope it makes it to federal court and a federal judge just looks through this and eats, damages to Bricks and Minifigs that just obliterates them. as well as the other two people that are involved, the Josh guy and whoever the Eamon, I don't know, and whoever is on the other side of this. I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed that they get some couple $1 million in judgments, as well as, Ben. as well as Ben. Anyway. The Bricks and Minifigs corporate CEO had a company. He had a company, or did he retained lawyers that specialized in it?
Slam my inbox, and there are so many legal questions, different areas of both civil law, criminal law, regulatory law, that I found this very fascinating, but it took me some time to put together this analysis. But this could not possibly be more perfect down my wheelhouse, as a corporate attorney, I dealt with pretty much all of these issues. This is a content creator, Reckless Ben, who decided to take on the company of Bricks and Minifigs, which is a company selling Legos. Now, how this breaks down is essentially there was a consignment agreement with one Brian Mansell and the former franchise owner of a local branch, a local franchise of Bricks and Minifigs. And for those that don't know, franchises are not owned by the corporation. So as a corporate attorney, one thing we constantly would say, one thing that is very much true, is you will constantly shift the blame between corporate and the franchise. The corporation will say it's always the franchise fault, right? That's something you have to talk to the franchise owner, and the franchise owner will say, take it up with corporate. That's a corporate issue. That's in our contract, etc. So that game of back and forth is very, very, very much tried and true here. And we see that play out in this case.
Finally, she gave me an answer of why she can't help me.
Who's supposed to be getting a hold of corporate?
Basically what the manager's saying is that if someone did steal the Legos, it wasn't her, it was corporate. And this was corporate's side of the story.
You have to talk to the store owner.
Sparkling Ice Flavor Lab, Stella speaking. Help me choose the sparkling ice. Oh, mini cans. Perfect for school lunch if you have a kid. I could have a kid.
Damn
or
ad.
some flavors are now available in a stick.
Now, this all really goes down to what a consignment is, and really that's what you need to understand here. So a consignment is essentially when one person is holding something on behalf of somebody else. In this case, it was over $200,000. That's the disputed value. Now, Bricks and Minifigs, the franchise owners, they dispute that number, but the Mansells, Reckless Ben, their number is $200K. So let's go with the higher number. So a lot of Star Wars Legos were very valuable. Now, consignments are what's called a security interest, and those are regulated by the Uniform Commercial Code, which has been adopted in Oregon. Under that code, the property remains under the superior title, meaning the ownership of the consignor, so the person that signed it over, even though it's being held by another person. The problem with this is the telltale maxim, possession is 9/10 of the law. So even though there's this agreement, the physical product is being held by somebody else. So you have to wonder what they're going to do with that product. And then
it seems like a catch-22 there. Then I mean, you know, to me, I guess maybe in the law it should be if you are doing consignment, then possession is 9/10 of the law should not apply. If you have a consignment agreement, that null and voids that the possession is 9/10 of the law, because you've entered into that agreement. Maybe he's going to explain that here or not. I don't know, but you know, I mean, it's different. It's just like and really, I don't really understand how that works, or why that makes sense, why that even makes sense. Because if you say possession is 9/10 of the law, you know, and I let my neighbor borrow my kayak, and they say, "Well, this is my kayak," but you know, it's like, no, it's mine. I've got all the paperwork for it. But then the cops as well, you know, they're in possession of it, so that's 9/10 of the law. But that's theft. You know, and I can't just go to my neighbor's house and, you know, steal their trash cans. And they put them on property. So, well, it's on my property, so it's in my possession, so it's 9/10 of the law. You can't charge me for theft. That makes sense.
In this case, something very, very wrong did indeed happen.
Almost mockingly, they've since flooded all of their social media with tons of pictures of Star Wars Legos. At this point, it seems like they're just rubbing it in this family's face.
So what likely happened here, which is something that Ben's videos don't make clear, is that after this consignment was made, essentially they quickly sold off that property to make cash. And once they made that cash, they either used that for operating expenses because the store wasn't making enough money. A lot of times stores will just make money on one high ticket item or one thing that sells well. And that's really what's keeping them afloat. They're really not making a lot of money. So, hey, they go and liquidate this inventory, these Star Wars Legos, because, hey, they belong to really somebody else and they're not going to come after us right away. And they may not have the resources, so we may be able to strong arm them. So they sell those off quickly, take the cash, and essentially flee. But essentially,
so they did sell. So I'm under the understanding now that they sold the Lego, the business sold the Lego. I thought they were still in possession of the Lego, but I guess they sold it.
those Legos are mostly gone, and they've likely taken the profits from those Legos already. And the whole purpose of Ben's video, which is to get the Legos back, is likely never going to happen because those Legos are likely mostly gone and sold off for cash. That's a lot of times what will happen in these agreements, particularly when you have a party with more power, like a larger corporation or even a small business versus an individual. They can feel like, hey, you're not actually going to take me to court on this, and we're going to get away with this.
And the guy just looks at me, crosses his arms, and goes, let me tell you what's going to happen. If we go to court, we're going to drag this thing out so long, and you're going to end up spending so much more money than your collection is ever worth or what you ever would have gotten out of it.
So despite retaining superior title, they took those away from them. Now, the franchise owner had several arguments here related to the consignment. First of all, they said, hey, we're going to keep these as store property because this consignment was illegal.
Gotcha.
We're not allowed to do consignments based on our corporate contract. Well, that's a whole separate problem, and that would also put the people that originally engaged in that on the hook with individual liability because they would have entered into an illegal contract, right? So that would have been on them for breach of contract, unjust enrichment, conversion. These are all civil claims. And by the way, I want to correct Reckless Ben. Throughout his video, he constantly uses civil crime and criminal crime. There's no such thing as a civil crime. That's not a thing. There's a civil claim, right? A civil claim is a claim for money, a claim for damages, but it's not a crime. If you are guilty of found to have liability in civil court, they find you guilty in civil court, you're liable for money, but that does not make you a criminal. And this is very important, particularly for Ben, because he uses this word recklessly, dare I say, as in his name, which may put him on the hook for defamation. He repeatedly calls people using criminal language interchangeably with civil language, and that's a problem because when you accuse somebody of a crime, that can be defamatory, and that may put Ben on the hook for defamation for continually using criminal language. Now, the other thing that the franchise owners tried to get off.
If I was a judge, I'd let him off the hook on that. I would let him off. I would let him off the hook, only because the conduct of the other parties, to me, is criminal. They are clearly attempting to defraud. To me, I'm just a lay person. I'm a reasonable person. It feels really slimy and almost worse than the Nigerian scams.
off the hook with was saying they're not aware of the consignment. But in Ben's own videos, we saw them eventually confess to this.
When Brian first came in, we identified anything that was on that list that would have been his that Amanda didn't sell, and we set it aside. And it's still sitting there. We're happy to give you your stuff back.
Next is really the thing that they should have done with this, which is go after them for conversion, breach of contract, and unjust enrichment. Now, I know they make a big point of going to court is expensive, but what they don't mention, and my first thought, and the thought of almost all the lawyers that I talked to on this, when I talked to my colleagues on this, was find somebody who will work on contingency. Contingency means a percentage of the recovery. There are plenty of lawyers out there, in fact, I know many of them, that will take these cases based on a percentage of recovery, especially if there's strong backup, there's strong evidence to back this up and say, yeah, no, this is a good claim. We're going to take this. We're not going to require a massive retainer, and we're going to take a percentage of the return, right? Now, you might have to pay out 30% of the return, whatever, 25% of the return, some higher percent. But hey, they're willing to take the case, and you're willing to get a good portion of your money back from this eventual W. There's other issues that were brought up in this, and these are ones that Ben created himself. The first one is Ben's sham contract. Now, Ben himself eventually admits this is not a legal contract, but Ben tried to put together a contract that said that they could not trespass him from the property, and for every time they called the police, they owed him $5,000.
I made a contract with Amanda that says I, Ben Schneider, should not be trespassed in all of these legal words for any circumstance whatsoever and for literally any reason, including a clause that says for every police officer she calls on me, she owes me $5,000.
Now, this is completely unenforceable 100%.
Yeah.
You cannot have a contract executed by deception. And using a routine package delivery to get a signature doesn't work, because that's what we call fraud in the inducement. You're inducing someone, you're tricking someone into a contract. There is no mutual assent. Now, once again, he brings up this duty to read law, but that doesn't apply at all for something where you have no idea you're signing a contract. You think you're signing for a delivery, and you're actually signing a contract. There's no mutual assent, mutual agreement that, hey, we're entering into a contract here. You are tricking somebody. So no, that does not work at all. The other thing is terms in there like you can't call the police, you can't trespass. Those are both unconscionable, and they cannot be contracted. You can never have a contract, ever. And I've written thousands and thousands of contracts as a corporate attorney. It's something I am probably the master at writing contracts. There's no way to get immunity from crimes. Trust me, people. If we could contract out of crimes, lawyers would do it in a heartbeat. But you cannot do that at all. You cannot say you cannot call the police on me. You cannot say you can't charge me with trespass. That's not going to happen ever. So that's not a thing in a contract. Don't ever try to do that in a contract. Continuing on, Ben also had to see some criminal acts that well, while you may frame them as pranks, they were criminal acts.
All right, let's see.
When you have everything you need to start strong.
You need to leave. Go ahead and leave, and I'm going to ask you one more time. This is the last time.
So after being told you need to leave, you're getting into issues of criminal trespass. A person does not have to give you a good reason to leave the property. They simply need to ask you to leave, and you should leave that property, or you're committing trespass. Now, one thing he does bring up is, I was just trying to serve them this lawsuit. I was trying to have this good faith conversation. Well, that's completely bunk, because all of that could have been achieved through a professional process server. Now, he did have a process server with him. The problem was he was there. And actually, under the relevant local law, it says if you're an interested party, if you're somebody who is involved in a lawsuit as a plaintiff, as a defendant, as somebody who's interested in that lawsuit, you cannot function as the process server. So because he was suing them in small claims court, he is not a valid person to act as a process server or to be there when they're serving process.
All right. So there's some blame to go around. I mean, I get it. I get it. But, the other people were not, filing, false police reports, using the law in their favor too. This is all lawfare. I mean, it's
I know why he was there, but it actually worked against his case and ended up getting him in trouble. He should have left it to that process server. If he wanted to stick a body cam on the process server or something like that, he might have been able to do that depending on the consent laws there. But that said, he might be able to record it, but not be there himself physically, because I think that is where the issues come up, and that's where the trespassing comes up. You also have potential disorderly conduct, which comes in for many of his pranks that he was pulling off.
And we did it. And the sign is way too small. What the heck, ChatGPT?
And targeted residential picketing, as well as several likely local ordinance violations. Remember, there's always going to be some local law that you're violating. That's always going to happen. The other thing is stalking. This comes up pretty clearly if you look at their behavior and you think about this through a lens of, well, what if these were just innocent people, even if they're not, right? You look at it as stalking because it's conduct causing reasonable fear for your safety or emotional distress. Typically, it has to be 2 or more actions, but they had a multitude of actions that they recorded in 4K of them going around, recording people, going to their houses, etc. That's going to look like stalking. That's not going to look good. So you've got all of these things that can come against Ben potentially. Whether or not he can say he had this imprimatur, this kind of slight reason of serving that lawsuit, he didn't legally need to be the one to do that. And one thing that he does repeatedly here is act as if he's Mansell's legal representative. But he's not really in an official legal role. He's not their attorney. He's not a trustee in their case. He's not necessarily a process server, because he might not be qualified as a party to those small claims lawsuits. So he really doesn't have a role to play here in that. He's kind of creating this role, or he thinks he had this role to play as a representative, where he really doesn't. His main role, which he did work very effectively, was drawing publicity. The other big thing is his lottery.
I want everyone's attention. We're doing a Lego raffle. This Lego set is worth $1,000.
In Oregon, the lottery is highly regulated, and he went through a lot of steps and a lot of rigmarole saying he set up an official lottery.
All you need to know is that I put a lot of work into making sure that this is a legal, legit raffle.
Now, despite him saying this was a real lottery, this would likely be treated as regulators as a prank. And I know this because I've worked on actual lotteries and giveaways when working with companies for several years.
Put it in front of a jury. Put it in front of a jury.
Lottery, Ben might actually be in trouble, because in this case, he knew when he started this that the Legos were in the possession of somebody else and he could not give those away. So from the beginning, he knew it was a fraud. He knew that he could not go in and get those Legos because he'd already been denied. Ultimately, he says he paid out the lottery because he felt like it was the right thing to do, but that is actually not the answer. He paid out the lottery just to keep himself out of actually getting in trouble here and actually sent to jail. Because if you end up running a real lottery knowing that you can't give somebody the prize, well, you're still going to be on the hook there whether or not you like it. So you might have to pay out that value of that item that you were going to give away, even if you're not going to give it away. So that's where you're going with that. So I would not be so flippant to run in and go start pretending to run a lottery and have people going out there thinking you can just run a scam lottery anytime. I think that's something that people need to be cautious of, and Ben was a little reckless with running that one. So what is the actual professional approach that should have been had here? Well, first of all, I think from the beginning, he should have used lawyers and process servers. Don't tag along to film. That actually can violate the local law. That actually can keep you from having an effective service of process, meaning giving someone the papers and starting that lawsuit. The other thing they could do is they could have filed reports with the regulatory entities, the BBB, the people that regulate the franchise owners, and support those by evidence. Submit those in to the people that regulate them and have them also come in and help come down on these people. The other thing is they could have brought in at some point a professional mediator or an arbitrator, somebody that could come as a go-between that's seen as neutral, seen as somebody who's going to be reasonable and not just be doing it for the clout, for the video, YouTube video, etc. Also, he did do a smart thing. I will give Ben credit that by itemizing and splitting things out for the small claims claims by breaking those into smaller amounts and then assigning those to different people. That is permissible. People do break things out and assign them, and that is permissible. But they could have also gone to get an injunction for a return of the property. And that would have been a very logical way to try to get that back really quickly, or at least prevent the sale of the existing inventory that they might still have and be trying to sell. The other thing is you really can't engage in what we call in the law self-help. And this video is all about vigilante self-help. It's about a YouTuber, a person who took things into his own hands, and there is a limit to that because eventually it can constitute harassment. And particularly when you run into a small town, whether it's the Mormon mafia or not, you are going to get pushback from the PD.
Walking a very dangerous line, which gets you end up a lot of time.
Yeah.
And you could end up in jail in Utah when you're from Cali.
Okay.
Not worth it, right?
Yeah.
We play differently here.
And well, what they did.
That's kind of taken out of context, isn't it? I mean, that was all from that whole, false drug stop.
It was certainly wrong and definitely needs to be investigated. There's a point at which you need to remove yourself from that, step back, and let the process take over. Let people who are professionals go in there and handle this, not you and your YouTube boys. In judgment, Brian Mansell's case is very sympathetic. I have a lot of sympathy in the Bricks and Minifigs case for what happened from them stealing from old people. That is absolutely wrong. And he was wronged here in his consignment agreement. He entered into an agreement and got shafted. And this does happen in business all the time. However, all of this could have been avoided likely if a lawyer willing to work on contingency would have found the Mansells before Reckless Ben. If they just got a professional in there, they could have handled this much more quietly than this. Now, maybe it wouldn't have the publicity it has, and that's something to be said about YouTubers covering this for publicity, but at a certain point, it passed the line where there's things that are happening that are indeed criminal and possibly defamatory. The other thing that has come up here is the local police need to be investigated, and that goes without saying. They've done some things here that clearly are shady, involving potential excessive force, illegal stops, searches, bias, body cam footage destruction. There needs to be investigation by the state coming down, looking into that, saying, what are these local PDs doing? Because this is not following their procedures. I will agree with that part. So on that part, definitely the police are in the wrong, and it's a gross misuse of police resources when they can be used really anywhere else better than this. It also is not the job of the police to enforce the civil side. And the fact that they're willing to do things for their buddies not willing to do things for these out-of-town YouTubers, while it may not be surprising, walk into any small town in America. I've lived in small towns in America and worked with local police. Yes, they will side with people that live there over outsiders, mainly because they're paying taxes and you're not. But beyond that.
All right. I'm not going to watch the rest of this guy. Let me... Legal Mindset. All right. Legal Mindset. I'm going to throw this up, this link, if anybody who's lurking wants to follow Legal Mindset over there on YouTube. There you go. I'm hungry. I think it's time for lunch. Plus I gotta pee. Anyway, all right. And got redacted stuff going on today. So, all right, my window. They're gonna come finally fix my back window to my to the truck tomorrow. Thank goodness. They had to order the glass. It's OEM, so it's the original glass from the manufacturer they're going to put in. Awesome. Get back out to the regular routine of going out with the dog to the parks and stuff, and then we're supposed to go out with another couple tomorrow for the evening. So I'm going with, going out and kayaking. I'll have to look at the weather, see what's going on there. That maybe next weekend will be something that happens. Back out there. But anyway, Scott, a very interesting story. Very interesting story. And I don't know if I'll be streaming it tomorrow or not. We'll see. We'll see. But okay. Everybody have a good, happy Thursday. If I don't see you Friday, have a great Friday or a great weekend. I'll definitely be back on Monday, so I appreciate it. What do we got over here? We've got one person on Kick. One person. Can't do any what do you call it, hosting or ratings. So that's it for today. All right, have a good one.
Oh my God.